rap Jesus. We about to go far. My team rap Jesus. My team go hard. My team rap Jesus. We about to go far. We about to go far.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming again for another episode of Fervently Creations. Listen, I thank you for coming in and spending your time with us. And we have another phenomenal guest for you today. But as you know, Fervently Creations, we're all about platforming people. We're all about bringing people out and seeing exactly what it is that they're doing to take Jesus and the message of God, how are they actually evangelizing outside of the walls of the church, the four walls of the church? As I always say, remember that it is 5 gospels. It's Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and you. And sometimes the only one that they see is you. Sometimes the only one that they actually read is your actions. How are you treating them? How are you talking to them? Are you actually displaying love? Do you actually look like your father? You know, if I stand next to my dad or so, you say, oh, yep, that's his child, because I look like my father. Do our actions and the way we treat people, the way that we talk to people, do it actually represent? Can they actually tell who our father is? And so again, I've brought on today another phenomenal guest that is out there, and she is about her father's business. She's out there and she's doing the work of God. And so I'm so excited to talk to her. But of course, before we open up any show, you know, we always open up with a Bible verse. And today I am coming with Psalms 46 and verse 5. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at a break of day. Listen, for those that may feel like, you know, hey, I'm struggling, I'm trying to make it through 2022, and I do not know, listen, you will not fall. He will not let you fall. God is on the inside of you. Today, once I was doing my prayer walk, or so, I was listening to Sean Jones and the Believers, and was saying, walk with me, and says, why I'm on this journey. Said, because I cannot, if my soul is not anchored in the Lord, then I cannot stand, right? And once we're anchored in God, we know that He is within us. And sometimes we have to get so caught up in that word. Sometimes we have to get so busy in that word and allow that word to feed and fuel us and stay anchored, so that way we do not fall. Once the enemy wants you to fall, and we're saying fall, but this is not a physical thing. Once he's saying she will not fall, it is a mental thing. The enemy wants us to fall mentally. He wants us to fall in our mind. Once the head is messed up, once your mind is messed up, once you cannot concentrate, once you can't focus, once you cannot gain mental clarity, or so, then that's when you feel like you have fall. He's after your mind. The enemy wants to attack your mindset, right? So God, He will help. It says God will help her at the break of day. Listen, I don't know when your break of day is coming, whether your break of day is in the next 30 seconds, whether it's in the next 60 seconds, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, but your break of day is coming. I want to encourage you today. Do not fall. Stay strong. Keep your soul anchored in God, because God is within you, but you have to keep it, and you have to continue to fuel yourself with the word of God. You have to continue to fuel yourself with worship. You have to continue to fuel yourself with what it is that of positivity of God, because if not, you will surely fail. You will surely start responding to things in the way that the world responds to it. You will surely start responding and acting as though the stuff that you see on the TVs and on these reality shows, or so, thinking that it is reality, and it's not your reality. It's not the reality in which He called you to walk in. It's not the path that He's called you to react in. It's not the way that He told you to respond. He didn't tell you to cuss them out. But what happens is, once we start anchoring ourselves in other things, once we start allowing other things to get into our head, once we start getting into our flesh, now we begin to respond from the flesh. We have to keep God within us so we don't fail, because now at that point, now we don't have that peace. We don't have mental peace. We don't have peace in our body. Read a thing today, and it was saying that they believe that all dis-ease, D-I-S, and they put dash E-A-S-E, all dis-ease in the body comes from, in the body and the mind comes from perceived, negative perceived experiences. So what you have perceived. And so a lot of times what we look at in our perception of reality, our perception of what's going on, our perception of how something has happened, or how we see it, comes through what we have been feeding ourselves. So let me put it a different way. Once you stay so embedded in the word, once you abide in him and you abide in his word, you're able to see God in all situations, to include the bad. That's when you're able to truly say, though they meant it for evil, God meant it for my good. That's when you're able to truly say that all things work together. And that means all the negative things. That means, oh, the AC went out, oh, my vehicle broke out, but it's going to work. It worked together for my good. And so sometimes you have to stay, not sometimes, you have to always watch what you feed your mental, what you feed your mind, what are you feeding yourself? Because if you put anything in you beside God, if once you start putting the worldly stuff in there, once you start feeding your flesh more, then that is what's going to happen. You will surely fail. It's in your mind. So that is just what I have to say about that. But I want to bring my phenomenal guest on, Tori Smalls, and I want to see what she has to say about Psalms 46 and 5. Hi, Tori, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. What do you say about Psalms 46 and 5? God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at a break of day.
Wow. This speaks volumes to me, honestly, because I think about my life and how I realize that everything is within providence. I've noticed how God has had his hand on me since I was a little girl, and just helping me get through different circumstances and life where, I can say, yes, people have used things against me, but it turned around for the better, because I'm still here. I'm standing strong and I'm still winning. And I believe what he says to me. I trust in him, that I am wrapped in his pinions and he is my safety net. So just the fact that I'm still here, I'm still breathing, and I'm still living, because a lot of times the outside world can, like you said, give you these preconceived notions about yourself, and it makes you want to hide. It makes you afraid to actually live your life, because you're scared of all these judgments from the society and the culture that we live in. But if you stay in the word and abide in him, he definitely lets you know, listen, you are my child. You will never fail. I have testimonies of how he actually did uplift me when I had fallen short amongst the world, but he had my back. And I appreciate that.
You know what? And I think, like you said, once we had actually failed. And so a lot of times I think some of us, even, women, I'm not going to say just women and men, but let me speak from a female perspective. Sometime after we have fallen and we've gotten up and we've dusted ourselves off, and now we don't look like the mess, and we don't look like how far that he actually had reached down and grabbed us. Like, I could sit there and I could talk to people and just like, oh yeah, I used to be a prostitute, or, oh, I used to strip. And they'd be like, really? And I'm like, yeah, I did. Like, and so, and just because I don't look like it, I still tell my testimony, because I do not know who needs it at the time. I do not know who is that person that may have fallen. I do not know who is that person that may have fallen and they need my testimony. And my testimony is what gets them to their break of day. My testimony is what caused them to say, you know what? God did it for her and he can do it for me. God had her wrapped in his wings. God did it. And if he did it for her, then he can do it for me. You know what I mean? Like,
I definitely know what you mean. And you know what? I want to say something. Actually, I getting to know you, you had spoke about how you in the past you used to smoke cigarettes, but then God was talking to you and trying to lead you into a different way. And for a while, I felt condemnation with that because I smoked cigarettes too. And
mhm.
so when I did smoke cigarettes, I felt like, oh wow, like everybody was judging me. I had this in my mind
They're like,
frame.
girl, you too pretty to smoke cigarettes. Look, only ugly people smoke cigarettes? Like,
Yeah.
my bad.
And so when you said that, I'm like, oh, the chains broke off of me. Like, okay, she's been there and she's done that too. And God is helping me with getting through all my mess, and he brought me higher. When he came to me, he stopped the cigarette smoking. Thank God for that. But this is something that I still had in me. And if you let condemnation beat you down for these things, like, you have to let it go and be free, because then you have no peace in your mind and you won't be able to move. And who wants to be stagnant? Nobody. He created us to be fruitful and multiply. And if you're stagnant, you will never get to that, to do any of those things. So I just want to say thank you for that.
You're welcome. And so even like with the cigarettes, right? And some of the other things that I've done, I'm telling you, I have a long list of things that I've done that was on the do not do list. And I think I added some that maybe God had forgot to put on there or whatever. Like the list of 10 was just a little bit too short. And so I decided I might needed to stretch that list out and kind of test it, because he didn't say it specifically. So I did it anyway. So but with that, I also remember my mindset. I also remember during the time once I was smoking, and that time I didn't feel any condemnation at the time of smoking, originally, because that's just what I did. Like, I'm saved. The way I looked at it, I was saving people's lives, because if I went and took me a cigarette break, that meant that I almost snapped on you. And me smoking this cigarette was me putting something in my mouth to close my mouth. You know what I'm saying? And so I remember the mindset. And I think sometimes we forget the mindset that we were in once we struggled with something, that mindset that we was in once we was battling, that mindset that we was in once we was sitting up there going through and just chain smoking or whatever our vice may been, whether it was the alcohol, whether it was drugs, whether it was cigarettes, whether it was sex, whether it was gambling, whether it was whatever it was at the time, whatever our vice is. And I think sometimes we forget the mindset. And if we can go back and remember how was the mindset, now we know how to minister to those people. How important do you feel mindsets is once it comes to understanding people's mindsets once it comes to ministering to people?
Oh, it's huge. One thing I've learned in the Bible, with God always uses a terminology for a person to understand. I think about with David, how David was the king, and David was committing adultery with Bathsheba. Now, God sends the prophet in, and when he sends the prophet in, he actually, now first of all, David is king. Nathan the prophet could have been dead somewhere if David would have said, I want to kill you. But the way God sent Nathan to him, he related into him as sheep. Now we all know that David actually was the shepherd of sheep. So he gave him a scenario within that type of manner where David could understand. And then David cried to the Lord, that his child wouldn't pass and stuff. So it definitely, you have to have a mindset of the people that you're ministering to, or else they won't actually gravitate to it. And
Right.
it's like, how can you tell me anything if you haven't been going through it yourself?
Exactly.
And that's a lot of people's mindset. So I definitely agree that you have to break it down in a way where a person understand into their terminology to actually be
Mhm.
effective, because it's a lot of people that talk but aren't effective,
Yeah.
and we need more effectiveness within the kingdom. And that's why I think this is perfect. These talks that you do is about your father's business. I love it. I thank you again.
Thank you. So now you are about your father's business. Can you tell us a little bit about Women of Wings? Where did that come from? What is it? Where did it originate?
Oh, wow. Okay. So, Women of Wings is actually, is came from the Holy Spirit. I have to give all glory to God, because honestly, I would have never thought of it. I think I leave everything up to him. Honestly, he's my guidance. So basically, I went through a rough time in my life where I was heartbroken. I The man who I thought that I was going to be married to just totally broke my heart. So I went through a hard, rough stage, and as I was going through that, I just cried out for the Lord. I cried out to the Lord and I said, Lord, just please help me and give me strength. And in turn, he gave me my baby, Woman of Wings. He gave me my baby. He let me know how powerful and how beautiful and how valuable that I am to society and to this world. And once he did that, my heart jumped, because I felt the love from him. And it just made me want other women to actually feel the same way that God has made me feel. So with that, um I started Woman of Wings. It was first just a ministry, but it came on to spread on to other wings, where I started getting kingdom talk. Like, this can actually thrive. I want people to feel that they are loved, as well as they're capable to actually fulfill their dreams. So I had a platform. I had different women that actually, throughout the pandemic, it was rough for a lot of people financially. So people are starting to get creative and listen into their calling. And they're like, well, listen, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I said, you know what? I need to do something. We make up, I have my website where I have a whole bunch of different women entrepreneurs just basically come together, present their products that we have, and they'll be able to go on the website and purchase products. A donation fee is going towards Women of Wings, because after the end of the day, this is for the kids, our future generations. We're trying to create legacies, each and every single one of us. We want our kids to stand strong and proud as well. So that we have youth enrichment programs where we're actually trying to teach the youth about spiritual warfare and what's a friend, how are you treating your friends, and how are your friends treating you? Are they really your friends? It's called Frenemies, that program. Then we have the real life program, where it teaches just goals and how you're going to have obstacles in life, how to overcome them without weighing yourself down. A lot of this is derived because a lot of kids don't actually know, or the parents don't know, that everything is spiritual. Like God said, we fight against principalities. We don't fight against one another, and we fight against these strongholds. We're trying to break yokes here. So I think it's very mandatory that these kids learn as from young, because depression is on a rise. And even with us women, when we are burdened, our children tend to be burdened as well. It's just passed on. It's not like it's going to stop. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to break strongholds, let the kids know that they are valuable too. I actually want kids to actually sell their products too, whatever comes to their mind, to have people to buy, because I want them to feel that they're empowered. They can be business people. They can have their own business as well. We also do the entrepreneur program where we teach them the differences of businesses. We have Take It to the Bank, where we're teaching them about things that's in the bank, how the difference between credit cards and debit cards, things of this nature. But all around, we're trying to raise up warriors to be able to succeed in this life, because it's a battlefield. So, yes.
So with me, I love that, for one, because my daughter will be 18 come Sunday. So my daughter's turning 18. And I do have a son as well. But, once it comes to that of teaching them as frenemies and what are friends, and actually starting to learn, like, okay, everyone does not deserve to know every intimate part of your life, or like, you have to have your boundaries, but also understanding that you have to have a discerning of spirits of those that come around you. And so even with us as parents, like, you have to have that prayer life of covering your kids' friends, because at the end of the day, though me and my daughter have I love our relationship for its open communication, but I do know that I'm not the main one, our primary person that is in my daughter's ear. I'm not the only one in my daughter's ear. And so you actually have to cover their friends. Whenever my kids have friends over, I love it, because you know what? I can stay up all night and I can war. I can stay up all night and I can pray, or I can wake up in the middle of the night and I can pray. I'm actually able to see, and I'm actually able to pick up on their spirit and kind of see, okay, hold on. Is this a friend? Is this person a good influence? Is this someone that I need to be interceding for, or whatever? And so I'm very, I like to communicate with them as well. But one thing that I love that you do is that it's like Women of Wings, is you are empowering other women of all ages. And I'm not going to say that I do not see that enough, because you're actually starting to see it more and more, where women are actually coming out, and we're breaking that cycle of having toxic women friendships, or toxic females, or so. And we're actually learning to say, Tori, let me celebrate your wins. Like, you did this, let me clap for you. Let me be the one that's cheering for you. We're actually able to look at people nowadays and say, hey, and I got it. It's still some people that still struggle with that. But not only are you teaching other women that did not have it taught to them, but you're passing that torch down, and you're teaching it to the younger females, such as girls that are my daughter's age and younger, of, hey, let me show you how to not be jealous, but we all can win. And that the woman sitting to your left and to your right is not your competition. That is room for all of us at the table. And I think that is so phenomenal with that. So once it comes to the platforming women and the different businesses, what type of businesses can people, or not businesses, but products and stuff is on there on Women's Wings?
Thank you. I have one who actually is a baker. So if you're in the New York area, you can actually look her up and order some baking goods. And then I have another that actually sells shea butter, cocoa butter, different products of that nature, and which for the body. And then I'm so happy. I have Jennifer Arzu. She just completed her book, and she wants to put her product up. I'm so proud of her. I was like, come on, we can do this. Let's get this book done so we could put it up. So she finally finished her book, and it's up. It's all about empowerment for the youth. So I love this. If you're a parent, you can actually get it for your kid if they're a minor, and you just want to empower them because you want to empower your kids. So I definitely love that. And it's more to come. It's more to come. I'm building slowly but surely. But this is the path in which my heart is totally into. I'm giving my all. And if God is with me, who can be against me? I'm doing it.
That part. I love it. I love it. For in platforming, what you mentioned earlier too that I found amazing is that during the pandemic, a lot of people got chance to actually sit with self, but also got chance to sit with God, right?
Yeah.
And as they sat with him, then he began to give them ways to create wealth. A lot of times we sit and we wait for God to just, or for us to wake up and it be $300,000 in our account or whatever. And he says, no, he said, no, I will give you the means. I will give you to create wealth. He will give us the mindset. He will give us the wisdom. He will give us the knowledge to create wealth. But sometimes what happens is some of us will pick up on someone else's dream or somebody else's passion or whatever. Once God is saying, no, I have a gift in you. I didn't gift it you on how to make shea butters. I didn't gift it you with the hands of a scribe to be able to write books and be able to teach. I didn't gift it you with how to make locks or whatever it is, or candles or whatever it may be. He gives us with it. But some of us, we don't sit still enough to listen.
You just meant you said something so good, because for a minute, I was like in a period where I'm looking at everybody, and I had my career job. I worked for MTA, but yet everybody had a side hustle. Everybody had and I'm just like, I don't want, what really am I good at? So I definitely can say that I've been there. I definitely been there. And it's not until I had to stop and pray to God and get just, God help, help. And sure enough, no, he came. They said, when you call, he will come. I think about Hannah and Penina in the Bible. And Hannah never had a baby, and she wanted a baby, but in her heart, she I love this, because she didn't quite know how to actually get this baby. She wanted a baby, but then she started watching her husband, the things that he was doing, she seen that he was successful. He went yearly to pray at the temple. So she started figuring things out, like, you know what, let me go to the temple, let me pray, let me see who this God Almighty is. And so she cried her heart out, and she prayed, she gave a vow. And I love the fact that they say she gave God a vow, because in order to actually get salvation, you have to submit to God. You have to submit to the Lord and Savior and let him know. So that is just so great. And that they put that in that part, because a part of that is receiving the Holy Spirit and receiving all the gifts that he has for us. And once she made that vow, I like to say that they mentioned how she spoke inside her heart and not with her mouth. So I realized,
and they thought she was drunk.
Yeah.
they thought she was drunk. And I think sometimes even with it, we have to, no matter how it looks to others, how I might look on the others, you might think that I'm drunk, I look foolish or whatever, or you might judge me or whatever, but I'm doing it the way that I know how to. She, like you said, she spoke with her heart, not her mouth, and because they didn't see anything, you misjudged me. And in the process of doing what he's told you to do, in the process of going through and saying, you know what, I'm fixing to give it all out to God. I'm fixing it no matter what it looks like. And to be criticized by Eli at the time, that had to be hard, because that's not the midwife or the other wife. It wasn't the other one that was,
Yeah,
it wasn't her that was just, for one, she already had this one that was already in her ear, and messing with her and stuff, because you can't have a child. Or so it was one thing to have it coming from her, but once you have it coming from Eli, once you have it coming from the priest, now it hits a little bit different of being judged. And no matter how she was judged, she continued to stay in that posture of prayer. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No. I love that story. And you know what I picked up though? It's so crazy because God, the way how he works, he will use an enemy or somebody that hurt you in some sort and turn it around. So this was crazy because Eli was nobody to judge, but yet in that Eli actually brought fruition her baby, because she never spoke. She only said it within her heart. When you hear a word from God, or the word is flesh, you have to speak it in order for it to come forth. So the fact that when Eli, I love it because he said yearly, he was talking about time mostly, which was really good, because she was there at the right time in the right moment for this to happen. So Eli can say those things, but yet she spoke to Eli. And when she spoke to Eli and said what was her problem, here go Eli prophesying. The Lord will give you what your heart desire. And once he prophesies that, it just turned in, and now she's having this beautiful baby. So I love that story. This is real life things that we go through.
And it's like, even when she was talking about women of wings, when she was talking about women of wings, which I guess you go by WOW as well, right?
So yeah, we call ourselves like WOW members, because I feel like with Women of Wings, it's always wow, because God is always doing something amazing. But yeah.
And so when she was talking, but you referred to it as your baby, right? And looking at others and seeing to where they had the side hustle or whatever, he was giving other people's babies, and it's just like, where's my baby? And so that was me. I remember during the pandemic, he gave me making t-shirts, and that's originally what Fervently Creations was I was making t-shirts, and that was the name of it, Fervently Creations. And so from there, he, like last year, he was just like, no. He was like, I want to use your voice. I need you to write books. And I'm just like, well, I'm scared of writing papers for real. And I didn't. So he had me going back to school for my doctorate degree. And once I said yes to that, and I start writing my books and stuff, then the doors begin to open from where how I did interviews and stuff and with other people, and doors begin to open to where Anointed Radio was just like, hey, would you like like to be part of our show, and would you like to have your show? And then I had RCG Global Network, and they're like, hey, would you like your own TV show? And I'm like, whoa, wow, really, God? And it has been a really God season in my life. Like, it's been a really God season moment, but sometimes it's like during that moment of elevation, kind of like Paul was being elevated up in ministry, but Paul was also being persecuted at the same time. Paul was going, and so a lot of times we talk about the elevations, we talk about the wows, and people don't realize that though you may see someone elevating, sometimes you don't realize that they're also being crushed at the same time. They're also being pruned at the same time. You're seeing flowers blossom, but you don't realize that that it's being some cutting away at the same time. And sometimes the cutting away is of mindset. Sometimes the cutting away is of people or friendships. Sometimes the cutting away is of one job. He'll cut you away from one job just so he can elevate you into the next job. But he knew that you would never leave the job. He knew that you would never leave the position if he had not made something occur to cause you to quit or cause you to get fired. Now I have free reign. Now I have that open door for you. Now I'm going to guide you into that door. And so sometimes we're in that wow. Sometimes we have to realize that though it does not feel good, we're still in his wings. We are still up. He is still cradling us. He is still covering us. He's still what, the wind beneath our wings. We're still the wind beneath. Like he's
It's
still
true though. It's true.
Like, wow.
Yep.
And,
Wow.
and even with that, though she had Samuel or so, it was a thing. Okay, God gave me this baby. Now I got to give this baby back to God. And in her obedience of doing that, in her sacrifice of saying, you gave me something and I'm dedicating this. I'm dedicating this child that I longed for, that I cried for, that I had faith for. I'm giving you what I prayed for back to you. And once she did, more blessings came. And I think that's even what, once you dedicate what it is, and he said, I'm going to open up more platforms for you. I'm going to open up more windows. I'm going to open up more doors of opportunity. I'm going to send more women your way. I'm going to send more young women your way. I'm going to send you more opportunities and I don't know. Like,
no, it's exceedingly and abundantly. Every word is so true. And wow, I felt like you just put my life on blast, because no, it's prophetic. This is what it is. He told me to quit my job with MTA, and at that moment in time, I'm just like, God, I have a career job. Like, these people wait 5 years or more just to get a position in this job. I finally got comfortable. I'm making a decent amount of money. Are you serious? And you know what he said? First, I went for my vacation and he said, Tori, okay, so I'm gonna show you some things first, just to put you on my time. He said, write a script. I was writing a script for 2 months. And next thing you know, I went to North Carolina and he's like, I'm going to have you give that script to Denzel Washington. And I'm like, okay, I'm telling people, they're looking at me crazy, like, girl, who you listening to? So I said, I'm trusting you. I'm hearing what you said. And I gave it to Denzel Washington. We actually took pictures and everything like that. So that was the door for me to actually give him my trust, to trust in him. And he said, okay, Tori, now will you leave your job? And I said, yeah, but God, are you really, really sure?
Are you sure, God?
He said, you know what? Think about your life. I was in the post office for 5 years. The post office was like the most horrible job for me. I literally broke my foot, tore ligaments in my arm. It was just like, God, I couldn't do this no more. And I prayed to him. I said, God, if you don't give me a job before the new year, like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Please provide for me the same way I've been providing for my family, but I cannot work at the post office no more. And this happened. I spoke to him in November and December. It's a heavy time for the post office, and they want you to work and work and work. And I said, no, my leg, I'm keeping my body whole. I'm not doing that. I took me and my family on a vacation to Puerto Rico. I came back around Christmas time, and the letter was in the mail for MTA. And he told me, you don't remember? I gave you that job at MTA as a gift on my birthday. And I said, you know what, Lord? I got it. I'm leaving. I give it to you. About.
Like I surrendered.
Yes, I surrender.
And that's hard to surrender all.
Yes, I
To
did. And you know what? I've just been doing so much. And it's just like everybody is just telling me, like, Tori, I just see so much growth in you. I see the change, and people are actually inspired and doing things that they would have never did. That's why I said I was so happy when my girlfriend, she finished her book, because I was just like, we're going to do this. We're going to make this. And, you know, and now I have this nonprofit, and I'm blossoming slowly but surely with the directions that he give me. I'm following his footsteps, the path he has for me, and slowly but surely I'm prospering, and I owe him everything. So I just thank the Lord for bearing with me, having grace and mercy.
And you know what? And I think sometimes that is once we talk about faith, and we have to, like, he slowly strengthens our faith. And in the way that a lot of times he strengthens our faith is he reminds us of what I did before. Do you remember that I gave you this job on my birthday? Do you remember that I sustained you before? Do you remember that you was in this situation before and you never went without food? You never went without lights. You never went without. Do you remember before that I kept you?
Yes.
And it gives us strength to be able to go. It's just, but I was talking to someone before recently this week, or within a week or so, and we was talking about like how he strengthens our faith, and I referenced it to lifting weights. You know, we know that, okay, I can lift the bar, but eventually he starts adding some 5 pounds, and you struggle with the 5 pounds. Like, oh, they ain't got the 5 pounds easy. Let me put two tens on there. Now you got 15 on each side. Next thing you know, it's 25 on both sides. And you're, next thing you know, you're up to 130. You're up to 150, and you're bench pressing this stuff. But what used to bother you once it was just the bar, what used to be the things that tore you down before, it's not there anymore, because now my faith has been strengthened. And sometimes once the tests come and the trials come and the tribulations come, or whatever, we look at it and we want to go into a woe it's me thing. It's just like, no, God, what are you strengthening my faith for now? What are you about to do for me in this next? I'm speaking to myself. I'm sorry.
No,
What is it? What is it that you're about to? Yeah, it's like, what are you about to do for me in this next season? Or so that I have to go after test after test after test. What is it that you need my faith built up for in this next moment to trust you for? Because apparently you're about to do something big, and I'm going to have to trust you big time to do it. My faith is going to have to be strengthened. I'm going to have to be able not to only just lift the bar, but I'm going to have to be able to lift all the weight on it. I'm going to have to be able to bench press 225. I'm going to have to be able to squat the 225. I'm going to have to be able to deadlift 225. What is it that you're preparing me for? What is it that you're going to make me say, though they meant it for evil, though they sit up there and laughed and thought that I would not birth this baby, though they sit up there and thought that that nothing good could come out of my household, though they thought that, hey, I couldn't carry something to full term, that even if I did carry something, that it was going to be stillborn, that it was going to die inside of me, that I didn't have the vision. He said, no, I need your faith strengthened in this moment, in this season, because what I'm about to do for you is about to blow your mind.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I think, for all his little faith children, that's what it's about. I feel like if a person has been misguided, it's because they didn't have faith. It's faith is everything. You could be whatever. It doesn't even matter. Somebody could call you whatever, but if you have faith in him,
Yep.
whew, exceedingly and abundantly. And we're all just living testimonies and ready to show his glory. And I love that. I love that. I definitely do. I think about the things, the things that he's giving you. He's blessed you with a lot to just, show his glory. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So yeah, kudos on that. He's continuously testing our faith, just continuously jumping out the window for him.
All right, here we go. Where's the parachute? I don't know. I'm just going to, I think he's going to catch me in the air. I don't know. So another thing besides faith, and I would say a woman with such value that you bring to all those that you come in contact with. One of the things is that you actually have to know who you are. You actually have to know your identity. Mm-hmm. Once I ask you this question, think about it. And who are you? Who is Tori?
Wow.
What is your identity?
You're reading my mind, because these are questions that I ask God. These are questions that I ask God all the time. Like, who am I? You are investing a lot of time in me. You're making all these miracles happen around me. Who am I? What am I? And what am I to do? And you know what? Honestly, he gave me, just have faith. Just have faith. I honestly can say that he hasn't told me fully who I am, or to the extent. He's just saying, trust in me and you'll see. And
you're a faith walker.
Totally. I have, it's things that I walk into and I may seem like, I could walk into anything. If God say go, I will go. And when I go, it could be bad or it could be good. But at the end of the day, I still have to dwell in my secret place and talk to God. Okay, so what was this for? Or what's my next move, God? Or how should I move this? And so a lot of times, I don't have the answer for nothing. And this is why when you said to me, I spoke earlier and I was just saying, yeah, like, I don't know. I just go whatever God says, and I actually do. He leaves me blinded all the time. Now, don't get it twisted. He talks to me all the time, but he leaves me so blinded. He's just like, I'll give you just a little bit to go out there, but I won't reveal nothing to you. So I'm still searching for who I am. And I think that's the beauty about it. Just following his steps and letting him guide you into this person. I know I am a child of God. I know he loves me very dearly, but to the extent of who I am, it's exceedingly abundantly not even in my head to even fathom, because eyes haven't seen and ears haven't heard. So yeah.
I asked you the question, and it was ironic because I asked you the question and it was like he gave me the answer to say that you was a faith walker. And so everything that you was saying a few minutes ago, you was like, he leads me blindly and I just walk and he guides me and I'm like, oh, okay, thank you, God. Yes. So that was you, like, he's a faith walker. And that is your identity. You are who he called to be, a faith walker. And so with mine is joy and happiness, which I used to always speak the opposite and say I was depressed and this, that, and other. And so he said, oh, you're joy and happiness. And so with that, I would like to say, if he's calling you a faith walker, then that means every morning when you wake up or throughout the day, you have to say, I'm Tori, the faith walker. You actually have to walk and stand and own exactly who he is calling you to be. He has called you his faith walker. And so, and normally I don't do this on this show at all, but this is what God is saying right now. So you are his faith walker. Walk in the faith, walk in your true identity as Tori, the faith walker. You are his faith walker.
Glory be to God. Thank you for saying that, because, I really didn't know. And so I appreciate you saying that. It makes a lot of sense. My life, I basically, a lot of people will come to me and they say, well, wow, Tori, you like, God is really speaking to you. And I'm like, yeah, like, and he's telling me the things to help other people, or please, sometimes he would just send me to heal a person. I went to visit my Nana the other day and he was just like, go and lay hands on her. And she instantly was healed. So I have to just jump go into whatever he says. And I walk in these things blindly when they think I know. Perception is crazy. They think I know, but I have no idea what I'm doing. My life, I depend on God for every single thing. I can't do nothing without him. And I think that's the key to what he wants to show, his glory. And so I just say, God, have it your way.
Listen, he is going to continue to lead and guide you. Continue to listen to him. Continue to be about your father's business. I would say you look like your daddy. And so,
I do.
You look like your daddy, girl. And so I truly thank you. Once again, tell people how they can reach out to you. How can they find you?
Yes, you can go on my website. Thank you. It's at the bottom of the screen. You can go on my website. You can subscribe. You can donate. You can actually, if you actually want to sell your products and you want to help the cause for building for these kids, I would love to have a building and to have an after school program totally just as what Woman of Wings do for the youth. So just go on my website. You can subscribe or you can sell your product as well. It's open. Just go to the website. Thank you.
Thank you. And listen, we thank you so much for coming on the show today. I truly enjoyed you. And anytime that we also be on Clubhouse together, and I'm telling you, anytime being in Tori's present and just listening to the wisdom and the knowledge that you have in the passion for God, I'm telling you, it's just a blessing just to be in your presence. So I thank you, woman of God, for coming on the show, sitting and talking with us. Again, if you did not catch the website, let's do it one more time. If you did not catch the website, please go out, reach out to her, and connect with her. Figure out how it is that you can get your stuff on her website, but also if you be a blessing as well. If you're able to be a blessing to what it is that she's trying to do in the vision that it is. So I thank you for coming on. Listen, if you would like to come on the show, you are more than welcome to come on. Our show is at www.ferventlycreations.com. We are partnered, sponsored by two amazing platforms. We have RCG Network, which I love it. Phenomenal group of people. I mean, about kingdom and look, we're going with it. Then we have Anointed Radio, Las Vegas favorite radio station. So we also have a Anointed Radio as well. I do have to get better with putting that information on there so y'all are able to go through and you're able to also see us on the different platforms. Subscribe to both, subscribe to RCG, subscribe to Anointed Radio, follow. So thank you so much. Listen, as we always like to say, networking is not about just connecting people. It's about connecting people with ideas and people with opportunities. I want you to be able to connect with people. I want you to be able to network with the people that we bring on the show. You're welcome to come on the show. You're welcome to come on ferventlycreations.com. But listen, we bring phenomenal people on here every week. We bring phenomenal people on the show, dynamic people that are moving in the kingdom. And so listen, come on the show. Networking is not about just connecting people. It's about connecting people with ideas, people with opportunities. So I thank you again for coming out. Thank you for coming to the show. And listen, catch us next week as we bring on more guests, more people for you to network and connect with.
My team rap Jesus. We about to go far. My team rap Jesus. My team go hard. My team rap Jesus. We about to go far. We about to go on